He called himself Eli Turner online, but there was no real Eli Turner. The man behind the name lived in a quiet suburb in Virginia, worked as a freelance graphic designer by day, and by night he hunted, not with weapons, not with force, but with charm, promises, and a laptop. For nearly 7 years, young women, mostly between the ages of 23 and 31, vanished across 3 states. They had no connection to one another. Some were college graduates, others single mothers. All were hopeful for one thing, a better future. And Eli Turner promised just that. He lured them through fake job offers, freelance gigs, or romantic interest through dating apps. A casual invitation to meet for coffee or a brief interview in a co-working space. That was all it took. They'd disappear within days, sometimes within hours. He operated methodically. He maintained spreadsheets of potential victims, researching their backgrounds, social media activity, and emotional vulnerabilities. His charm was rehearsed, his stories polished, and he never used the same alias twice in a single state. He'd change his hairstyle, wear glasses, even fake accents. He made it difficult for anyone to trace a pattern. It wasn't until the disappearance of a determined journalist named Carla Jennings that everything began to unravel. Carla had sensed something off. She'd been covering missing persons cases for her local podcast, Silent Trails, when she began noticing similarities in several reports, women leaving from meetings they'd found online, mentioning vague job interviews and never returning. She decided to dig deeper. Carla posed as a freelance writer responding to a job post. She emailed the contact, who identified himself as Eli Turner. The job seemed too good to be true. $800 for a single article. No portfolio needed. The meeting place was a shared workspace 2 towns over. She went, but she left her phone location on, a hidden mic in her purse, and a friend in a car parked nearby. She texted her friend the location, a photo of Eli's profile, and said she'd check in every 15 minutes. That night, she didn't come home. Her friend waited. When 2 hours passed with no check-in, she called the police. With the GPS ping, officers stormed the location. Eli Turner, or rather Marcus Vell, was gone. But inside the workspace, they found Carla's recorder, her broken phone, and traces of blood smeared along the desk and under the carpet. A full-scale search was launched. It gripped national headlines. Carla Jennings was no ordinary victim. She was a known journalist, and her podcast had a dedicated following. Her final episode, recorded just before her disappearance, gained millions of downloads overnight. For weeks, the case stalled. Police followed dozens of false leads. That was until a digital forensics officer dug into IP logs from the shared workspace's Wi-Fi. One static IP stood out. It had been used repeatedly during the scheduled meetings of the missing women. That IP traced back to a rural cabin in West Virginia. A SWAT team moved in. The cabin was isolated, no neighbors within a half-mile. The windows were blacked out, the doors reinforced. They breached the property at dawn. What they found inside horrified even veteran officers. The interior was clean, too clean. No dust, no clutter. But in the basement, hidden behind a false wall, they uncovered a soundproofed room. Inside were items belonging to multiple victims. IDs, clothing, phones, and even locks of hair. The walls were covered in photographs, detailed notes, and crime scene clippings. In one corner, a corkboard had Carla's face circled in red. Underneath, in bold marker, she knows. But Marcus Vell was gone. A nationwide manhunt followed. The special forces got involved. True crime communities exploded with theories. The hashtag #FindCarla trended worldwide. Every station ran the story. Vell's photo was on billboards, news tickers, and social media feeds. Authorities revealed more. Marcus Vell was not new to manipulation. He had a criminal record for fraud, identity theft, and assault, but nothing had connected him to the disappearances until now. He was a chameleon, a ghost. Carla, it turned out, had survived. She had escaped Vell's cabin that night, slipping through a back window when he left to retrieve supplies. Injured and disoriented, she wandered through the woods for hours before collapsing. Hikers found her near a creek the following morning. She was hospitalized for weeks. Her story shocked the country. Her audio recording, recovered from the mic in her purse, became a centerpiece in the investigation. It captured the entire interaction, his voice, his threats, her screams. It was chilling, raw, and undeniable. The manhunt intensified. 3 months passed. Then, a break. Vell had used a stolen ID to check into a motel in rural Kentucky. What he didn't know was that facial recognition software had been quietly deployed across ATM cameras near high-risk areas. When he withdrew cash, the system flagged him. Within hours, SWAT surrounded the motel. He was arrested without resistance. In the room, they found his laptop open. He was midway through crafting another fake job listing. His backpack contained burner phones, wigs, and forged documents. He had planned to flee again. The trial was swift but unforgettable. Prosecutors presented a mountain of evidence. Carla's recording, the IP logs, forensic analysis linking him to the items in the basement, and testimony from victims who had narrowly escaped. He was charged with 17 counts of kidnapping and murder, but investigators believed the true number of victims could be far higher. Dozens of cold cases were reopened. Some women had been dismissed as runaways. Others never reported missing. Marcus Vell remained expressionless throughout the trial. When asked why he did it, he replied only once, "Because I could." He was sentenced to life without parole. Carla resumed her podcast 6 months later. Her first new episode, titled I Met the Monster, received over 10 million downloads within the first week. Her voice trembled as she described the basement, the way he smiled before locking the door, and the moment she realized she might die. But she survived, and her story changed everything. Since then, laws around online job postings have tightened. Digital safety advocacy surged, and true crime audiences have become more vigilant. Carla ends every episode with the same words: be cautious, be skeptical, trust your instincts, because monsters don't always look like monsters. And as for the investigation, it's not over. Detectives are still connecting dots: missing women, abandoned belongings, anonymous tips. The basement may have been his last hideout, but it wasn't his first. The digital trail Marcus Vell left behind is still being unraveled, and each discovery leads to more questions. How many more did he lure? How many families still wait for answers? We may never know the full scope, but one thing's certain: his reign is over, and Carla made sure of that.